On Wednesday, the two-day Fuel Retailers Association conference began in Johannesburg. Industry players are focusing on challenges in the sector amid record high fuel prices. Retailers say they're also feeling the pinch of increased costs. To update us on its resolutions and outcomes, Reggie Sibiya, the Fuel Retailers Association CEO, joins us now. Thank you very much, Mr. Sibiya. So tough times for consumers, and you're saying that fuel retailers are also experiencing the recent fuel price hikes. What have been the impact on them?
Thank you. The first impact that we've had is obviously the rising prices themselves, which then impact on our margins and also on our cash flows. Firstly, the truckload that you now need to actually get on site, the working capital is now coming close to R1 million. And there's not many, banks that are going to be willing to give that kind, of capital security. So a lot of our members are under extreme pressure with the overdrafts and forever requesting for those overdrafts to be increased by the banks. So that is the one area of hardship. And secondly, most of our expenses are linked to the pump price, like the credit card costs. Now, as the prices go up, so are the costs of like handling a credit card going up against a flat and fixed cents per litre margin. Retailers really get about R1.64 in total out of the entire petrol pump price. And when you think then about that, then there's a location in that R1.64 of 31 cents, which is supposed to be for profit before tax. Now, if you swipe a credit card, currently at 1.75% of the pump price, that translates to 42 cents a litre. So it means every credit card transaction as we speak is running at a loss, because I've got only, 31 cents that I should be making towards my profit. And this is not even incorporated in OPEX, where it should really be to cover my expenses. So we are under serious, tremendous pressure. And the other worst, factor for us, directly linked to consumer consumption behavior, is that we're seeing decreased volumes in the sector. And that is understandable because people are spending less on fuel, and people actually have a particular budget for their purchases of fuel a month. For example, if I spend 500 Rand a month or twice a month, the likelihood I'm not going to actually increase the budget. But what then happens is that with 500 Rands, I get less liters to be filled into my car, and that actually has a ripple effect on the volumes. And the other issue that we were discussing for us, which is serious threat to the volumes, is the what we call illegal trading. Here we're talking about product theft. We also talk about mixing of product like, paraffin and diesel. That's why people must be careful, especially with diesel, when you run around for cheaper prices through these illegal traders, that you might actually be buying, what we call a cocktail, which is paraffin and diesel, which is not good for the wellness of your car going forward. But the other part of the legal trading is where these wholesalers now are actually selling directly to the public. That is prohibited by law. That's why all of us in the value chain have got various licenses. So if you are a wholesaler, you can only wholesale. You cannot sell directly to the public.
Mr. Sibiya, there have been calls for the fuel price to be deregulated. You're saying those calls are ignorant. If that's not the way forward, then what should be done?
Certainly we need to look, at the issue of, imports. And be realistic that until we change that situation, until we have our own local production, which is highly unlikely, we are not going to get where we want to go to very quickly. But, for me, the hope is, this rise of fuels that is we're experiencing currently is really related to the Russia-Ukraine warfare, or conflict. So we are all hopeful that, that conflict is going to be resolved. And when it gets resolved, then, we can all go back to where we were in terms of our prices. But certainly we also saying, if we look at other countries, you can see like UK, where the government is intervening differently from the way we're intervening here. But all that we're saying is that, the 164 cents for retailers is not going to be a solution. Because even if you go to markets that have deregulated long time ago, like US and UK, the prices there are skyrocketing to up to equivalent of 45 rand per litre in UK, as an example. So this is a global crisis. We need to understand it. But then I think it cannot be resolved by cutting margins, because that then builds up another problem of security of supply. Because then if you cut down the margins, then we won't be able to supply the products. That's just the way it is.
And of course, the pressures being what they are, it also, of course, results in the exclusion of new entrants to the market. There is so much to talk about on the topic, but unfortunately, we have run out of time. I do apologise. Thank you for speaking to us. That's Reggie Sibiya, Fuel Retailers Association CEO.